Good evening, and welcome to the virtual open house housing and dining session. Thank you all so much for joining me. I'm excited to introduce our panelists and get this presentation started. But first, a few orders of business. I do want to remind everybody that this is a webinar, so you won't be able to use the chat or the microphone function to ask questions, but we do have a Q&A already enabled. So you can select the Q&A to write your questions, and it'll be answered by members from our housing and residential education team or our dining team. My name is Cassina Ensi. I am your moderator for the evening. I'm the Director of Communications and Marketing in undergraduate admission. I'm also the admission counselor for Boulder Valley, as well as Littleton, Englewood, and Sheridan here in the Denver metro area. A couple more things to go through. You can enable closed captioning using the options at the bottom of your screen. And we will be sharing some features and links in the chat as they are relevant to what our presenters are presenting. And with that, I will pass it along to my presenters. I see Dr. Robinson is already here with us.
Hello. Super excited to just present for you all a little bit. Cassina, do you mind enabling the screen sharing function, please?
I'm sorry, I thought it was already available. Hopefully it appears now.
Yes, thank you so much. So just to introduce myself, I'm Dr. Robinson. I am the Director of Residential Education. I'm also gonna open the floor for my colleague to introduce himself as well.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joe Rich. I am the Director of Residential Operations here at HRE.
Cool. Well, let me just do the little screen thing. Just to give y'all just a quick introduction. One of the things you'll hear all the time when we think about our organization is that our mission is to cultivate individuals in inclusive communities. So when we think about the work that we do, that is our primary goal in terms of how we support our on-campus students. What that looks like, we have a pretty large team. I would say one of the largest on campus. So we have over 90 student staff, and that includes our RAs, or resident assistants, our desk assistants and managers that really support our front desk operations, as well as a team of graduate students. And that includes our graduate resident directors, so counterparts of our professional staff, our resident directors, as well as our graduate assistant for residential operations. We also have 17 professional staff that are full-time, and that includes those that work and live on campus, as well as those in more of the administrative roles that are serving in our central office.
So when it comes to housing operations, this side of the house normally focuses on managing the administrative functions. So occupancy, housing assignments, meal plans, and front desk are typically things that fall under this area.
And on the other wing, the residential education side really focuses on creating those experiences on campus. So I would say ResOps does the same thing, more in that administrative wing. And then our team could be described as those people. So we are really truly in the halls. You'll see, for example, every student will have a resident assistant paired with them, as well as an RD. Paired with their areas within their residential communities that they can really go to at any time. So we really work together to try to support students as best that we are able. So thinking about that, we imagine the first year experience a couple of ways. So first, DU does have a 2-year live on requirement. And that is pretty intentional. So there's a lot of research that really supports that living on campus does contribute to a more positive student experience where they experience belonging a lot easier. And a lot of that comes from them being able to make those connections on campus, as well as being really proximate to the resources that a campus environment has. So when we think about your institutional library, your classes being really close, your dining halls, for example. And what our role is in this particular experience is really integrating that holistic student support as well as development. And I think that can come in a couple of ways. So you have, of course, the experiences that you have in Hall. So when we think about programming, some of those developmental conversations that we may have with students, it also means that sometimes things don't go as well as they can. And that's also another opportunity for our team to step in to provide that accountability in some senses, but also that support to help students navigate through what could be really challenging experiences. Because we also know that this is the first time that many students have been kind of off and on their own. And in those moments, it really is, I would say, a trial and error at sometimes, but we're there to support them through that experience. And of course, we have a very strong network of campus partners that all work towards facilitating these positive experiences. So I would say housing is one of the probably most well-connected organizations on campus when we think about our facilities partners, our dining partners, academic advising partners, et cetera. So we really are able to help connect those students to resources that could benefit them at honestly some particular moments in their lives as well.
So in terms of features of our residential communities, um, what mostly exists is traditional style double rooms. We have community style living, easy access to socials and programming, board events through RAs. In regard to meal plan requirements, you have the block meal plan options, minimum required for those living on campus, and access to on-campus vendors such as Starbucks. We have three communities currently allocated to first year students. They are Centennial Halls, DeMond Family Residential Village, and Johnson and McFarlane. Um, Centennial Halls. So Halls is our largest first year community. In terms of the location, is very accessible. The DURTD stop is right next door. It's next door to the Ritchie Center. Sturm is a very brief walk away, and community commons. Um, there's a large parking lot that's adjacent to the community. There's an in-house cashless market, so a C-store essentially. And you have co-ed and single gender floors. DeMond Family Residential Village, also known as DFRV, our newest residence hall. It is centrally located. It is right next door to the community commons, Sturm. Anderson Academic Commons is across the street, essentially. Um, our office, HRE, is located within this complex, home to many of our LSCs, living learning communities, which we'll go over later in the presentation, including the Pioneer Leadership Program and Honors Program. Co-ed and gender inclusive housing are also offered within this community. Johnson and McFarlane, also known as JMAC, one of our most popular residence halls on campus, also known as Legacy Hall. So in terms of proximity, is very closely located to STEM and the Lamont buildings. In the fall and spring, relax on JMAC Beach. Next door to Nelson's cashless market, C-Storage, just like Centennial Hall was notated earlier, home to the Environment, Sustainability, and Global Engagement LLCs. And all floors are co-ed.
And you may have mentioned, Jewel, mentioning pieces about our living and learning community as well as affinity housing. Collectively, they are some of our shared interest communities. And you will hear a lot of different names kind of nationally in terms of what these experiences are. But on the grand scheme of things, this is a group of students that either share a set of identities. So when we thinking about affinity housing, it may be, for example, a racial identity, or they may be involved in a particular program. So when we think about our student inclusion and belonging floor. And then we have our living learning communities, which is a very strategic partnership between academic affairs and our residential life department that really helps students investigate and start answering a specific topic question. So definitely recommend considering these two living options. Shared interest communities are also one of the pieces that really contribute to more positive and intimate student experiences, especially when we think about students living together and really being able to navigate a particular topic together, especially if they haven't had a true opportunity to do that just yet. So within the housing application, there is an opportunity for students to, make some preferences or selections of a couple of communities that they may be interested in. And once that happens, we will do our best to help connect those students to the program advisors for them to just give some general outreach, check to see if they're interested in those communities. And of course, if they are, learn how to apply. So if a student does live in one of these shared interest communities, they do end up sharing a floor together, or in particular, pods in some areas, wings in other areas. So generally speaking, they're living together as they are either exploring these topics or exploring a little bit more about the identities that they share together. And then regardless of whether a student is in a shared interest living environment or just part of the general residential community, one of the things that we value is the education of our students. So over the last couple of years, we really did some remodeling to really focus on 4 goals that we want every student to work towards with our support as they live on campus. So really engaging in self-discovery to inform worldviews. So, of course, college is that environment where you may be introduced to experiences, views, people that may be a little bit different from what you're used to. And one of the things that we like to do is encourage folks to seek that understanding, to talk through some of these differences, because we are all, of course, different people. Exploring pathways to navigate educational and life experiences. I mentioned this earlier, but this is often the first time that many of our students have had to be quote unquote on their own. And that can be a particularly exciting experience for some. It could be really anxious for a lot of folks as well. So what we also try to do in our programming efforts is helping connect students to those resources to help make these things either a little easier or help them understand what's happening a little bit better so they can make the most informed decisions as they're navigating college. And then, of course, cultivating a network of supportive relationships. We all know that relationships are extremely important to most folks' lives. That includes the social environment on college campuses. It includes mentorship. It includes those relationships that folks may build with their advisors, their faculty, even our staff. So thinking about our RAs, our hall directors. We try to intentionally program to also connect these students to these folks, as well as refer our students to folks that could be beneficial as they're navigating college. And of course, contributing to communities that thrive. We are, of course, a part of multiple layers of community, whether that is as small as your floor, as big as the U's campus, or as big as, of course, our country. And as a part of that, we believe that there should be that common goal that we want to see each other do well. And for that to happen, it includes having some conversations. It includes trying to think about what our different roles are as we think about our communities as well. So these 4 goals are really what guides how we support, guide our residents as a part of their experiences on campus.
All right. So what's next? Apply for housing. Um, Roommate match, SES accommodation, and priority deadline, June 14. Please make sure that you remember that date. You will receive your housing assignment in late July, and you get to move into your new home on September 3rd, and we look forward to welcoming you.
Awesome. And I think there are a couple of questions that are coming in as well. I know our team is writing the answers through our questions as well. Um, let me just make sure. There's a question on here. Do most freshmen find and connect with other students to room together before getting to campus? My colleague Rue would like to answer that question if you're able to come off mute as well. Oh, okay. I was just given the go ahead to actually answer that question myself. So one of the things, do most freshmen find and connect with other students who room together before getting to campus? I wouldn't say most. I think there's that option for folks to look at some profiles as they're doing the housing application. We do have a significant population of students that go into our kind of random assignment process as well. Um, the best way to get to know other incoming classmates, social media is powerful. That's where a lot of our students actually connect with each other from their names. There's also the opportunity for them to email each other once they get their DU email addresses as well. Sometimes the random roommate assignment process can be really, really nerve-wracking to students. But I will say a couple of things, at least from my experience so far in the field, is knowing someone, coming in with your best friend, et cetera, does not always equate to the best roommate match. And similarly, coming in from a very random situation can also be one of the best matches ever. So I definitely encourage you all, as you're having conversations with your students, to be open, try it out. The best thing that we can do in terms of roommate situations is really opening that path towards communication and helping them get to know each other in that sense. So no relationship I would say is perfect, but I think we do a really, really good job at trying to connect roommates with the best interest based on our program as well. So many questions. Let's see. So do you get priority if you apply for housing early? What percentage of students get their first choice? So there is a priority deadline. We do random assignments. All of our first year students are required to live on campus, and we do make every effort to try to get folks into their preference. However, there are some buildings that students will preference more so than others. I would absolutely say that everybody can't get their first preferences, sometimes not their second. But with that said, each of our communities has its unique characteristics, their floors, their cultures. So I would say again, be open-minded in terms of where your students placed. Let's say if it's not the new fancy shiny, that doesn't mean it's bad either. We actually have a lot of students that really enjoy the specific environments of each of our communities. So it really depends on personalities of your student, as well as the types of communities that they're looking to be a part of. What percentage of third and fourth years live on campus? For that one, definitely fewer third and fourth year students because they are not bound by our live on requirement. Uh, most of our students that live on campus are our first and second year students, of course, by our live on agreements. I couldn't give you that specific percentage offline, but I don't have that on record right now. Rent off campus, it depends. So if you're a first or second year parent, I would definitely say don't look off campus just yet, as you would be bound by that live on requirement. There is a resource for folks that are in maybe their third, fourth years. It's called Off Campus. .du.edu, and that is a partnership between apartments.com that really helps set those pieces up. But I would say that generally rent in the Denver metro area is a little high. And you also have to factor in some of the benefits that are available on our on-campus environments. We do have our housing rates online. So the easiest way to do that is to, take that and divide it by the amount of weeks for each of those quarters, and that will give you a really good idea of our quote unquote monthly rates versus off-campus. The other difference is that when students apply and are on campus, that housing rate is put on their student account. where you are able to, of course, work with our campus partners for the payment options that work best for your family, versus that month-to-month rent that you would see in most off-campus places. There's a question on how are matches made for roommates? Is it completely random? So there are really two kind of ways. So there's one where students may choose roommates, and that's all through the housing portal. They're able to put up a profile, kind of view it, and then request each other. The other portion is random, if they choose not to try to match with a roommate. And what that looks like, so we have this really cool system where students actually indicate kind of some random preferences about themselves. And on the back end, the system makes kind of like a compatibility percentage where it really tries to group students together who should be the most compatible, considering preference of a location, but also the answers that they make to these questions. Not a perfect science, but I would say the vast majority of our students, at least from what we hear, are in a okay living environment. And then there are definitely some students that experience challenges, but I can say from navigating the conversations, a lot of what those challenges end up being is communication breakdowns or some hesitancies around communicating in an effective way with roommates that then kind of escalates to this point where everybody wants to move. So as you are helping coach your students through these college experiences, I think it's going to be so important for you all to emphasize how important it is to clearly communicate as things are happening, because I think a lot of us do have that tendency to kind of shy away from that. There's another question. If you have a housing accommodation and want to room with someone that does not have one, can you still room together? Depends on what the housing accommodation is. I think that would be the first piece. All of our housing accommodations go through typically a campus partner. So if it's, for example, disability related, it would go through Accessible DU, our student disability services, where they would review the information that's shared, and make a determination of what the appropriate housing accommodation is. On our end, what we would do is try to find a space on our campus that would match that housing accommodation. And when that becomes available, we'll communicate that information to your students. And unfortunately, that means that they're going to be, that there is the potential that a housing accommodation may not allow for a student to, for example, bring their roommate with them. So it really depends on the particular accommodation, and whether that might be possible. So the question is the selection process totally random or first come first serve? I mentioned it was a little bit of both. So you have your random assignments for students that don't find roommates. There is we do keep an account when folks put their application. The big thing for students to really think about is that priority deadline. That is June 14th. So those are really that first row opportunity where we're going through and really trying to make really good housing assignments. With the 2-year live on requirement, we're definitely trying to get as many of our students into these preferences as possible. But I will say it can be more of a random situation, especially if they aren't selecting roommates, or if they're applying after that priority deadline. And that's kind of how we navigate that situation. Okay, how does meal plan work and what are our dining options on campus? So for many of our first and second year students, or those that subscribe to those residential meal plans, they have a set amount of blocks, and then they have meal plan cash with those blocks. So with the blocks, they don't carry over from quarter to quarter, but they can use as many throughout the quarter as they want. There are a couple of dining options on campus. There's some that are more satellite. Many of our dining options are in our community commons, so that's where you'll see most of our students eat during breakfast, lunches, and dinners. They are able to swipe for those options, as well as get a receipt if they want to have a second option as well. And then they also can use their meal plan cash at select locations too. So one good example is we have a Starbucks down on the first floor of Community Commons. I frequent it often. Many students actually use their meal plan cash there, but there are a couple of places on campus that they can use them. And that includes in our main dining facility if, for example, they run out of blocks. And students can also purchase additional blocks should they run through all of them before the quarter is over. There's one question: is it hard for third and fourth years to find off-campus housing considering the Denver housing market? I do believe my colleague Ryan is going to answer that one for you as well. My colleague Jewel is answering the air conditioning questions in dorms. There's a question if I enter a fraternity as a first year, am I able to not sleep in a dorm? My colleague Rue is answering that for you. If students connect online and want to room together, how will they go about doing so? Do they request that on their application? Yes, they are able to request that in their application, so through their housing portal. And I would say if there are any students that may be having some challenges locating, for example, someone they want to room with, if you could have them, email us at housing@du.edu, and we'll be able to help, figure out
Teacher?
what may be happening and guide them. Yes.
I'd like to give Dining a chance to do their presentation. I'll have students, thank you so much for presenting, you and Jewel. And I'd love to let everybody know that you can continue asking questions on Q&A, and we'll have all of our teammates from housing answering those as quickly as they can. So please don't stop asking your questions. But I do want to invite my colleagues from our dining to go ahead and give their presentation and an opportunity to answer any questions you might have about meal plans and meal options on campus. So please, dining colleagues, if you go ahead and start your cameras, you'll be visible and you can introduce yourselves and then present. Thank you so much.
Hello, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thank you. I'm Tracy Williams. I'm the dining director for DU Dining. With me tonight is Lisa Dancer, our marketing manager, Gina Vega, our registered dietitian, and Bailey Thompson, our marketing coordinator. She'll be taking us through the slides tonight. And thank you for joining us and allowing us to give you an overview of DU Dining, some of the support we provide to students, and other valuable information that will help you get the most out of your meal plans in the upcoming years. I'll begin first by walking you through what you will find in the Rebecca Chop Grand Central Market, our resident dining, located in the Community Commons, centrally located in campus, making it an easily walk or bike ride across campus to all the residence halls. We have 8 different stations, starting with Seven Spoons, where you'll find delicious and varied selection of homemade, home-style meals and international cuisine. We have a pizza station that prepares fresh pizzas to satisfy you. We have a grill station preparing grills and chicken sandwiches, grilled burgers and chicken sandwiches. And this year we started a new concept where we're doing some type of a smash burger concept where we're preparing them fresh to the order. Also, we have new this past year, which we hope to continue, is our Savor Eats vegan burger robot, producing plant-based burgers that are not touched by human hands in the process. And that's a long discussion. If anybody has questions about that, I can definitely send you more information. We have a Chef's Corner station. That is a station where the students vote for the concept that they want to see the following quarter. This year they selected a deli and this quarter a deli and a carved protein entree at night. We also have a pasta station, a green station, which is a full self-serve salad bar, and our stir fry, which is a Mongolian grill. We also have a simple 3 station where you won't find any nuts, milk, or gluten in the ingredients, which Gina will be able to talk about later.
One of the things I would like to add is, along with our resident dining, it was mentioned previously, but we have a program called Seconds Program. And you can choose to dine at any one of our 8 dining concepts. And then during that same visit, you'll get a receipt, and then you can take that receipt and go to the same station or try a different station. So one of the tips that I like is I love to go to the salad bar, and then I will take my receipt and go over to the grill and add grilled chicken breast onto my salad, and I've made my own creation. So it's a great option to enhance your dining experience. The other thing that we have is we have a green box program. Sometimes you may not want to eat in the dining commons, and that's okay. You can, when you move in, you'll get a coin. You can give that coin, you'll return it for a green box. You can fill up your green box and check out, and then you can go take that back to your room or eat wherever you'd like. We do have 3 locations throughout campus where you can return that green box and get a new coin. So next up, we'll introduce you to Gina Vega, our in-house registered dietitian.
Awesome. Good evening, everyone. My name is Gina Vega, and I am the registered dietitian that's part of the Denver Dining Program. My main responsibility is to act as the bridge between students who have specific dietary needs with our culinary team. So I am the main person to work with when it comes to accommodations for students who do have any type of medical need, allergy, intolerance, along with any religious dietary requirements. Along with that, so I also work in collaboration with Student Disability Services for those who have medical needs, and then also with the Student Affairs and Inclusive Excellence Department for religious need accommodations. Each accommodation will be different for that individual. And so as you can see on your screen here, there is my email to start with the process, to start with the accommodations. I do recommend, for one, working with Student Disability Services first for those with medical needs, because they will need certain required documentation that you can definitely discuss with them about, along with also the Student Affairs Office as well for religious accommodations as well. And then on the next slide, so at the Community Commons, we provide one platform, well, 2 concepts. So our platform, Pure and Simple Station, is a station where you can go that are going to avoid certain allergens. So we don't serve any milk, any nuts, which includes peanuts and tree nuts, along with gluten. And so this allows for the customer to get a hot, fresh meal for them to have. We have several ways. There's like a hot plan meal on one side, or a custom build your own bowl concept that is pretty popular at this station. It is open 7 days a week for students to have access to. The other place that we do offer, it's called a pantry style, which is called Simple Zone. So Simple Zone is a great way of students to get packaged goods, anything from like breads to desserts to yogurts to non-dairy beverages as well. We have dedicated equipment, a toaster for students to have, as well as a microwave. So that's also convenient for students to have. At the Pure and Simple Station, so just to kind of go back with that, to backtrack it, I apologize. So we have dedicated equipment, dedicated smallwares that's dedicated for this platform. So don't really have to worry about any kind of cross contact with the equipment and the smallwares that we have. We also have a team that is AllerTrain certified for them to get more of an intensive certification program. And our front of the house staff is required to do a food allergy 101 training that is expected for them to do. So they all have base knowledge of how to handle any type of cross contact questions and food allergy concerns. Again, if you have any questions, my email is on that slide, and I look forward to working with all of you. Thank you. Sorry. One more
Thank you,
thing I do
Gina.
want to, I apologize. Sorry, y'all. So the other thing I do want to also mention is, so with, oh, if you want to go back to the Everyday app, please. So one of the ones that we do offer, it's called our Everyday app. So the Everyday app is a downloadable thing that you add to your phone where you have access in real time to our menus, everything for the community commons menus to our retail location menus as well. You also get hours of operations for these stations and for these concepts. The one thing I like about the Everyday app is it gives you the idea of what is being served for that day. Also, it has a little toggle component where you will be able to put in any of your allergens that you have or things that you are avoiding, so then you can see what is being served at those stations. Even though Pure and Simple is the best place to go to avoid cross contact, at other stations, we do have other things available, like gluten-free hamburger buns at the grill station. We have different processes in place for our staff to know, so that if you do have, let's just say, a gluten allergy or intolerant, you can ask for a gluten-free burger bun and they prepare it in a specific way that's not on the main line. Also with our pasta, we have gluten-free pasta, and we also have a gluten-free and dairy-free pizza crust at the pizza station that is a part of our accommodation as well. But overall, this is a great tool to add to your toolbox when you are dining anything for allergy needs. Also, if you're looking for healthy options or just quick info. So now I'll put it over to Lisa and the team to go more into our dining experience.
Thank you, Gina. And to let you know what we have on campus for our retail locations, we have a Starbucks, a full complete Starbucks located in the community commons on the first floor. We also have a Natural. It is a location that serves fresh squeezed juices and smoothies, as well as has a toast bar and panini concept. Also, we have the Eat Now Corner Store markets, one in Centennial Halls and Nelson Hall. That's where the autonomous touchless stores are located. And we have an Einstein Bagels. In the Front Porch Cafe, we have an international food cafe serving sushi, ramen, hot bowls, and boba. We also have the Dougie. It's the campus food truck that will be opening. It's opening in the fall and the spring. And it has a rotating menu. It could be barbecue, street tacos, or it could be burgers and hot dogs. We also have a second location in our engineering building on the south end of the campus. It's another international foods concept.
When you utilize your meal plan as well, you can utilize one meal swipe per day in our retail locations for select items during certain hours. Gina mentioned the Everyday app. The Everyday app is an important tool as well. You're going to utilize those to get into the C stores, and we also have mobile ordering at the Natural and Einstein that you'll use the Everyday app for as well. There were some questions about meal plans. So all residential freshmen and sophomores are required to purchase a residential meal plan. They come in different blocks, as was stated before. You'll choose the one that fits best for you. We have 125, 150, 175 block. and that's meals per quarter. And then they all come with meal plan cash. So you can use your meal plan cash at all of our retail locations as well. Those meal plans are managed through the housing department. So if you have any questions, their information is listed there. And then you can always add on additional blocks. We do have, if you need more information, we do have our website, du.edu dining. You'll find more information about our dining program, locations, hours of operations, frequently asked questions. And then we encourage you to follow us on social media. You'll find out about all kinds of exciting events and promotions that we have going on. So you can see we have our Instagram handle and Facebook. Tracy, did you want to answer any of the questions that, or Gina, that are in the queue?
Tracy, we can't hear you.
Sorry about that. Okay. I've been going through and answering a lot. Let's see if we have any. I've got one right now. Is it possible to get a job or get a work study through any of these dining sites? We currently have 65 student employees, right, Lisa?
Correct.
And they work in every location from retail, resident dining, and catering, as well as our concessions in the Ritchie Center. So yes, we definitely look forward to having student employees. They're a valuable asset and a great way to support the DU community.
Tracy, one of the questions was about the breakfast options and what.
Oh, okay. Okay, I responded individually, but yes, we run breakfast 7 days a week. On Saturday and Sunday, it's more of a brunch. We open a little bit later, but we run the breakfast through till 2 o'clock. On the stir fry station, we offer omelets along with all the sides that go with it. Our Seven Spoons and Chef's Corner, we run a full breakfast. It's got everything from eggs, breakfast meats, breakfast potatoes, oatmeal, yogurt bar, pancakes, bagels, bread to be toasted, just about anything. And it's a rotating menu. It changes daily. And that's 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. Monday through Friday. And like I said, 9 to 2 on Saturday and Sunday. Any other questions that we can see? Hours of the dining hall. We're open continuously from 7 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. Some stations close during the slow periods. That's Monday through Friday. On Monday through Thursday, we have late night, 8:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, we open at 9 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. And with some stations, like I say, do close during the slow periods, but there's continuous service. That's in the dining hall. Starbucks is open 7 days a week, 8 a.m. till, correct me, 10 p.m.
Correct.
Approximately. And the different retail locations open different times. The two autonomous stores, 7 a.m. to midnight, 7 days a week. Let me see. I see a lot of vegetarian options, but it's hard to be a vegan with a meal plan. We offer vegan options daily at most locations. We try to go more vegan than just vegetarian, but working with Gina, if anybody is truly a vegan and they need to ensure that they get what they need, that's something to work through Gina to make sure that they can navigate the dining hall to find what they're looking for. But yes, there are vegan options available every day, every meal, including breakfast. Do we have any more that we can talk about? What is the quality of the dining halls? How much variety is there? We have 8 stations that have a 5-week rotating menu. You will see some things come up more than once during that 5 weeks, but they're not repetitive. And, you know, in the 5-week cycle, you know, you're talking about thousands of options. If you can navigate the dining hall, if you're willing to take your receipt, get a salad over at Greens and then go to grill and get a grilled chicken breast, or go to one of the other stations for an entree to go with your full side. It's a matter of learning how to navigate it, and that's why we have our dining manager and our chefs that are up and present on the floor to help the students. And that also they will also be present in orientation, and we're looking for time so that we can get up in front of the students to tell them, to inform them and educate them on how to best get the most out of their meal plans.
In addition to that, we do to have things to surprise and delight. We do a lot of special events throughout the quarter. So just last week, we took over our stir fry station, and the chefs prepared made to order Philly cheesesteaks. So we had a beef, a chicken, and a vegan option. Next week, we have a visiting guest chef from Zambia who's going to prepare an authentic meal for the community. So we like to do different events throughout the quarter and year that keep things fun and interesting.
I have a question here. How does the receipt thing work? Getting food from multiple stations. The dining room is set up more of a retail location. Somebody can come in and buy a meal for a set price, you know, like a faculty staff or somebody without a meal plan, and get an entree, 3 sides, and a beverage. They can get it all from one station. But for the students, in order to provide the variety and accessibility to the different things they want, last year we began issuing a receipt. They go through a line, they can get what they want from it and pay for it at that station. We will give them a receipt, and they can take it to the same station again, go through a second time, or they can go to another station and get one item, or they can get a complete other meal. This was, and this came about because we found that they weren't getting the different things they want. Yeah, everybody's different. You know, some people want to get a burger at the grill station, they want to get a salad, or they want to go get a pasta dish. So we implemented that last year, and it's been very successful. Are there any more? And we have another one. So no buffet, the meal sizes are all the same. Most of the stations are set up self-serve. There's some things that are served like the stir fry, where the cooks have to cook it and serve it for them, but the students get to pick out what they want in their bowl and fill their bowl up, and they hand it to the cook. But I'd say 75% of what we offer is self-serve. They can pick what they want, the amount they want, and if they want one thing or 5 different things, we don't hold them to the entree, 3 sides, and a beverage. It's like I said, it's been very successful. And students are actually, we're seeing, put it like this, we used to overserve when we were trying to serve to meet the needs. We're seeing less waste this way. The kids some of them take a lot, some take a little. It's what fits their need, and so it's working out really well. Okay, I have another one here I want to answer. When I say pay for it, the student will walk through the line, they'll take their food, and at the end of the line, there's a register. They'll swipe their card, and it'll take a meal swipe for it. If they want to come in and just buy a side dish, they don't want a full meal, they can use a swipe, or they can use meal plan cash and pay whatever the side dish is. $249, I think is the average price for a side. So it's their choice. They will be asked how they want to pay if they take something just a single item. Meal, got another, how does meal plan cash work? How's that different? Each meal plan, the 125, 150, and 175 comes with $330 meal plan cash each quarter. Like they said, like Diedrich said earlier, it does roll over quarter to quarter. So they only spent 300, they will have $30 added to the next quarter, or vice versa. If they only spent 30 of the 300 will roll over. They can use it at all the retail locations on campus, including the convenience stores, or they can use it in the dining hall. It's their preference. Let's see. We got somebody asking, how can you check how much meal plan cash you have or how many meals you have? If they're in the dining hall, we can run a balance inquiry, but they can also check it in the portal, and I do not have the name of that portal yet. I forget. I apologize for that, but they can go to a cashier, ask them to run a report of what they have left. Do we have any more? Lisa or Gina, do you have anything to add? I don't have any more questions right now. Anything we miss?
I think we're good on my end.
I think we're good as well. Just looking forward to seeing everybody in the fall.
Well, then I'd like to thank you so much for presenting. And I'd like to thank my colleagues from Housing again as well. Thank you for all of your information, for taking the time to answer all of these questions. I want to thank everybody who attended for spending this time with us, for bringing your questions. I shared in the chat ways to contact your admission counselor, as well as undergraduate admission in general with any questions or concerns you still have. Please don't hesitate to reach out. We're always very happy to help. We'll stick around for just a few minutes in case any other questions come up in the chat. But otherwise, I want to wish you all a wonderful evening. Thank you so much.